Hey guys, it's Matt. Welcome back to Midnight Reality. I continue to read Cynthia Sue Larson's book that she sent me in the mail, The Mandela Effect and Its Society. And lo and behold, look at this. Something we've been kicking around for a few years, dabbling in, not that we did any scientific experiments. She actually cites the science behind these theories. We just see it as common sense. We see it as there can be no other explanation than potentially this. So I turn the page and here it is. No such thing as objective reality. Reality appears to be subjective, not objective. There's a section or a page and a half or so. I'll read you a few sections of these pages, and then I'm going to talk about this in the most idiotic light imaginable. To some people, I think it absolutely relates here, and it's fascinating. So it still seems idiotic at first, but give me a moment to explain myself. You know, I'm fascinated with the destruction of media, most in movies, the destruction of Star Wars, the destruction of the beloved franchises. Well, we now see that the product, the outcome for each of these endeavors, like the horrible, wretched Star Wars, the Alkalite, the product itself is the controversy. The outcome, the desired outcome, is not people, these idiotic movie reviewers, they believe that they're trying to put a good story on film or on whatever, in streaming. They're trying to write a good story. No, the intended outcome is controversy. It is that simple. But that's just also a means to an end. What does that controversy do? So we'll try to look at it in this retrocausal type lens today, where the actual destruction of the new Star Wars is potentially, per almost science that's been proven true, potentially is literally reaching back in time and destroying the old, not just in our minds, but potentially literally. And it relates to this section about objective reality. Now, if anybody's like, what is this scientific horse shit, Matt? Let's go back to making fun of the Notnilc free zone or imagining that we could have one. There will be no child left behind here. Didn't George Bush coin that phrase? There'll be no truth researcher left behind. We'll start with the absolute basics and work up. Not that I'm no scientist. Cynthia Sue Larson has performed some of these experiments with real physicists. I couldn't even pass the first page of the math test. But I'll keep it simple. And I can't get complicated because I don't understand no math. I don't understand no physics. Now, to anybody new, 2 minutes or less on retrocausality. Retrocausality is the principle that time is not linear. Matt, only the future can be affected by your actions today. The past is locked. The past is cemented. No, the principle of retrocausality is what you do right now actually in some way can influence the past. Maybe it's not equal. Of course, we understand the way this reality is constructed. Everything moves forward and the river flows in that direction. But how much is just perceptual? We've talked many times the senses don't take in 99% of the information. All senses don't. You only get about 1%. It's the whole reality. So this whole place is believed in. The body, the ego mind, the senses are structured in a certain way. So we interpret how this reality works in a certain way, almost always going forward, of course. It's in a way imperceptible to us that the present actions could affect the past. But so what? How many things are imperceptible to us? 99% are imperceptible to us. So you have two different types of research, I guess, in this regard. You have Cynthia Sue Larson, who is very connected to the scientific community, and they have certain experiments like double slit eraser, where actually something down the line goes back in time and affects a particle that supposedly happened in time previously. These are real experiments, and I know the double slit experiment actually triggers people in our truth community for some reason. I really don't understand that at this point, because what I was about to say is we don't perform these sorts of experiments, but people like you and me look out at the world. We study Notnilc. We study a world in free fall / reality breakdown. We observe, and we see hundreds, if not thousands, of examples where it seemed like retrocausal events took place, where something happened that affected the past. So we ain't got no experiments. We ain't got no Stanford lab, but say 1,000 times we've noticed something that we used to, for lack of a better definition, called it predictive programming. So let me get this straight. The men in black drove around in the vans and the limousines, and they put 1,000 little hints that the big 7-Eleven job application September of 2001 was coming. They put it on Breakfast in America in the album cover. They put it in TV shows. They put it in Back to the Future. They put it. I understand the men in black could have planted some of these things, but maybe only 5 to 10%. The other 90%, it's predictive program. They had to put it in that cartoon, Matt. See how that cartoon has a plane going, let's say flying over the Pentagon in that cartoon from 1955? Well, see, once we've observed this, say, 1,000 times, the person evolving their consciousness doesn't just keep resorting back to Men in Black, Secret Society, they planted it. We start to think bigger, and we say, this is likely retrocausal. You could, at the very first step, you could say a channeling in some way that the creator of the animation didn't even know what they were doing and was channeling the future. But if they're channeling the future, that still means there's a link between the future and the past, and not as separate as you would think. So we ain't got no Stanford lab. We ain't got no scientific experiments. We observe, and we've observed this, what was for the first grade truther cries out in the night, predictive programming, it's secret societies, you son of a bitch. That's what they say to me. Then you observe it again, then again. And you say, no, they couldn't have planted all this. It's likely reality is much more retrocausal than we think, where it's our senses lying to us that the future is out there, not right next to us. The senses are hiding, of course, they're designed to hide how this reality actually works. Let me pick up the book and read from a page here to get us thinking in a certain way, to open our minds. No such thing as objective reality. Skipping down, it says, in one of the most remarkable news stories of 2019, scientists at University of Edinburgh and Vienna demonstrated that two different observers could witness two completely different realities at the same place and time. Physicists at Heriot-Watt University, Edinburgh, succeeded in bringing a classic Gendanken experiment out of the realm of pure conjecture and into a real world of a physics laboratory. Quantum particles can behave as either particles or as waves, settling into one state or the other, particle or wave, at the precise moment they are observed. But a segment of the truth community thinks that is some sort of fake experiment and somehow we're all being bamboozled. All the rest of the time, when a particle is not being observed by someone, it exists in superposition of states in which it can be considered to be simultaneously both particle and wave. It goes on, I'll skip it, basically through measurement, through scientific measurement. It can observe two different realities, but via scientific measurement. There's no two people sitting in a chair next to each other observing two different realities in this example. She goes on, nature provides us with natural quantum superpowers. We see evidence of quantum superpowers with bacteria that adaptively mutate within one generation to thrive in seemingly impossible adverse circumstances, and where algae can utilize quantum coherence to attain optimal efficiencies for photosynthesis. Guys, a quick note, all this quantum, this and that, the way to keep it simple, just think of it like magic. I mean, people are triggered by that too. They think, oh, it's dark, it's evil. Just things we don't understand. There's certain bodily processes that are quantum. It's like magic, meaning there's no normal way to explain it. For example, the heart. There's no normal way to explain how supposedly a pump, and if you do the math on the length of capillaries, veins, arteries, I mean, it's just, I don't know what it is. You know, how long it can stretch from here to Pittsburgh. I mean, it's so many miles of whatever. There's no way one pump could do that and return it. There's quantum processes taking place. That's just the scientific way of saying some magical things taking place. And the very root level, just things we don't understand. The Notnilc surely does understand all of this. No doubt they keep it from us, and most of the university research parks don't understand it. That's why we've said many times over the years, the Notnilc just laughs at the university research parks with their experiments that they know will go nowhere. I like citing Conan in this scene for some. I'm going to do it again. When Conan talking about Crumb to that archer that he just made, he says, Crumb laughs at your fall winds. The Notnilc laughs at your University Research Park experiments, trying to put everything into the idiotic bookends of science. It knows these quantum processes that are taking place. It knows the part of the body that's, quote, magical. And it'll never share these things with us because guess what it does? It opens our minds up from the constrictive box that it placed us in. Like Paul Atreides putting his hand in the box of pain. It doesn't want that to go away. Was it put your hand, Paul Atreides, in this box. Who are you? I'm Bene Gesserit. That's what Bene Gesserit in the Dune, the Jesuits. That's what the son of bitch Notnilc does to us. It knows how all this shit works. It'll keep it from us and let the idiots in the University Research Park spin their wheels with their experiments. And while you believe in double split, maybe that's a Freudian slip. Well, it doesn't matter at this point whether I believe in the exact double slit. I believe there's a fluid reality that doesn't work the way we think it works. So what's the damn difference? I had to pause for a second and look something up. I'm sure some people were blowing off my heart. Can't possibly be a pump example. What's he talking about, this guy? Yeah, let me explain it to you. This is fun for anybody that already sees it the way I see it. I just looked it up. Hey, AI overview. Hey, thanks. It said 60,000 miles long. The circulatory system of all humans of just one person. 60,000 miles long. If you lined up all the capillaries, all the veins, that can't be right. Well, then what if it's just 100 miles long? What's the difference? It's still impossible. The pump, okay. My neighbor years ago lost the one that's closest to me. It's still, we had to put 3 hoses together. He lost his pump, didn't have any water for a day or two. And he said, can I just put a hose on your spigot? And I don't think there's going to be enough water pressure. We had to put 3 hoses together. It's not that long. Not 60,000 miles of hoses, 3 hoses. So I turned the water on full. I had to go up a little hill. He's like, I'm getting nothing up here. I'm getting nothing. It would be no different. This pump I have, this water pump, it's like a fish tank pump. It says right on it, it's up to whatever. It's up to 30 or 40 feet. 30 or 40 feet, not 60,000 miles. So this fleshy thing that goes boom, boom, this fleshy thing, boom, boom, it pushes through 60,000 miles. Sorry, no. There's quantum processes, some sort of weird magical shit going on. Notnilc knows all about it. It won't share it with you, me, or medical students. They just think it's a pump. It's a pump, you conspiracy a-holes. It couldn't possibly be a pump and pump through 60,000 miles, even if the 60,000 miles are local. It's impossible. There are many other quantum processes potentially taking place in the body. Okay, so we don't need to focus on them. We just say there's a lot of shit going on here that is outside of our perception. So let's get back to retrocausality and some of the things we were talking about to start. Reading Quantum Time. In a world where time itself is a bit of an enigma, it's amazing to see news of a recent mind-boggling discovery that time demonstrates quantum behavior. Physicists at the Stevens Institute of Technology, University of Vienna, University of Queensland, announced in 2019 that particles aren't the only ones capable of existing in a state of superposition. Time can also exist in 2 or more states simultaneously. The scientists contemplated quantum temporal order, where no distinction exists as to whether one event caused another or vice versa. And people bought this Mandela Effect book thinking it would just be Fruit Loops and Bernstein Bears. You didn't expect the scientific stuff, did you, Bernstein Bear people? They created a thought experiment examining Bell's theorem for temporal order, in which they examined answers to the question, in a quantum future, blah, 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 they found evidence of quantum properties of time, such that cause and effect can exist in both a forward and backward direction. Ha ha! Rob, who does free voice for me and for us, tells a story recently, basically without all the details, a car accident, 50-50, he said he should be dead, basically. 50-50, but something happened. It's related to what Cynthia's talking about here, this quantum time, where you've heard this many times, though. It slowed down. He said it happened. He said there's no doubt about it. Everything slowed down. His mind was completely focused. He saw it. I mean, I really can't even describe it because it's never happened to me. But we've heard the stories. Everything slowed down. He had almost like more time to consider what to do, and everything he did to avoid the accident was perfect. And this is I'm sure what Cynthia would agree that Rob experienced in some way quantum time. The second is not an objective measurement. 1001, or no, we even say in this reality, we say 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. And if you look at a stopwatch, it's actually moving faster. Well, I wouldn't say that experiment has a lot of scientific integrity, but it does seem like it is moving faster. It doesn't matter. The evidence, not just with the scientific experiments, but just our own observations and the common sense things we've observed. Again, even the 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, it's not objective. Nothing in this, out with it, Junior, where you get to eventually is nothing here is an objective standard. Nothing. So then what we're faced with is how far do we take it? If I look at a news event and say, that's friggin' fake, dude. Who could believe that horse shit? And then my friend Tony says, what do you people always think everything's fake? And we've toyed in his reality. Is the news event real? And that seems impossible. We've toyed with that because we keep running into the same brick wall. There's almost no other explanation. And I'm not ready to go all the way there yet. Like the mall event was absolutely real and there really was somebody on the rampage. And in our reality, the men in black came in with vans. And I'm not ready to go there yet, but we keep toying with it. That in some way, his reality is different, objectively different. We've been floating this for years. There's almost no other explanation. It's just how far do you want to take it? And it really doesn't matter. Once you even put that on the table, that his reality could, in a way, be different. We've talked about that regarding the personal reality bubbles that we carry around as we interact with the Notnilc screen or the asshole dark. Well, asshole, the asshole dark. Once you put that on the table, does it really matter how far you want to take it, because that just more proof of a fluid reality, and we always end up in the same place, proof of a fake world. It's not what the scientists say. It's not what Stephen Hawking says. And then we find ourselves, of course, and I won't say it too many times in every video, but for us, the best news of all time. So once again, it gets back to things like the Kabbalion principle number 1, Hermes thrice great for whatever he did for his woman. All is mind. All is mind. Mind came first, not no Big Bang and Monkey Man. All is mind. So therefore, in this one example, and there's thousands of this, the more we collectively, whether it be our truth research community or people in general, how many ever real people are out there, the more we talk about, time seems like it's speeding up, doesn't it? Time seems so... The more we talk about that, the more it actually inserts itself into reality and time speeds up. And is it the cart before the horse before the cart? Is it the chicken before the egg, or the egg over the chicken? People start talking about something, believing it, and then they bring it into reality. They introduce it into reality. Didn't exist before they believed in it. See, the Notnilc can float the idea in news articles, social media. It can get that thought into millions of people inside of minutes. It's that expert in terms of how it has taken over the social media and the internet and false internet and all that. And there's not all these different places to go. There's like 3 different places to go, and they all report back to the same Ministry of Information. That's all true. It can float an idea. It's like Inception. Plant an idea immediately in millions, and then that goes viral, and people do it on their own. They go viral with certain videos and TikTok videos, whatever it may be. So if people start believing that time is speeding up, therefore that creates the actual result that time is speeding up. And the more people talk about it, the more it speeds up. All is mind. We know that. The Notnilc has known this for a long time. We can discuss, say, how long they've known these things, or when did they figure out certain things, whatever you believe Notnilc or the screen to be, but it really doesn't matter, because as of 2024, with AI tools and technology and carrying forth all their old ways and their knuckle bones or whatever their grimoires are, they know quite a bit. It really doesn't matter how long they've known it. And it's across the board in terms of light. And Thaddeus will tell you all about light. They know exactly what frequencies F with people. The blue light Fs with people. The red light is more natural. They change the bulbs, sound frequencies, embedded messages. It's not just subliminals in a 1950s movie theater where do you see that popcorn flash up? What you talking about? I didn't see no, for half a second. Do you see that? Popcorn flashed up for just a split. Now, you want some popcorn? I'm not talking about that shit. I think they float these ideas so people think all they have is a rudimentary capability. That's all they got is popcorn images flashing up. They've got millions of times more sound frequencies, chemicals, light. They F with the human being, what they call us, in every single aspect of reality, right down to the water we drink. So we serve its aims. And of course, most importantly, we're prevented or distracted or mind controlled or dumbed down or calcified pineal gland, that's now a verb, to prevent us from what we're supposed to do in life. Now, we see it. It is crystal clear. Again, our family and friends listening to this. Have you heard Matt's YouTube channel? He's lost it. They think it's just good people, good people in government working for you, and senators, Matt, are corrupt and congressmen are corrupt, but generally they go in trying to do the right thing. Oh, okay. What's your cabin on the ship of fools? Your cabin 666? Oh, I'll send flowers. Nobody can see it. It's so obvious to us. They mess with the human at the fundamental level in terms of even the bulbs and fluorescent light in office buildings. And it's just the Notnilc knows all of this. I think once in a while the university research parks do have certain experiments that, let's say, shed light on certain things, and those articles are never published. Maybe the men in black do show up from time to time and say, oh, we're going to take that article. Well, I was going to submit this to the New England Journal of Medicine. It could really help people. Oh, you know what? You just give it to us, and I think it's worth $2 or $3 million to you if you give it to us now. But it could really help. You know what? It's just like the coach in Back to School, Rodney Dangerfield's coach, before he did the triple Lindy. He said, who's this person? Oh, he's on he's on the alternate roster. I'll go get it for you after the diving meet. They say, we'll share it with the New England Journal of Medicine. What you're doing here, University Research Scientist Breakthrough, we're going to make sure it benefits millions of people, but we need to vet it. See, we need to make sure people stay safe. We want the $3 million? You want the $5 million? You give it to us right now. He's on my alternate roster, but I'll get it to you. I think a lot of times the university research parks, once in a while, they do have a major breakthrough. And this is where it's applicable to talk about the men in black. This is where they shut it down. So that good thing never makes it to you and I, Joe Q, retarded public. So earlier on, I talked about relating these types of scientific principles and really weigh out mind-stimulating thought exercises, relating that to the idiotic, and I'll bring it back in now. What, again, fascinates me more than pretty much anything else, at least from a trivial sense in the last 6 months to a year, is how they're out to ruin all the movies and franchises and beloved things like Star Trek, and then the movie reviewers keep making not 100 videos, but tens of thousands of videos saying the same thing. That the writers are just bad, and they believe that someday their social justice warrior, DEI, diversity, race swapping messaging will eventually be accepted by people. And now they're actually starting, like Echo Chamberlain, they're actually starting to talk about the modern audience that doesn't exist, but they won't go the whole way. Well, Echo Chamberlain, I appreciate your witty humor, but if the modern audience doesn't exist, and then you don't think Disney knows that? It's made bad on purpose, and it's not made to make profits. They don't want to make profits. The outcome or the end result is the controversy. The final product in all of the destruction of the franchises and the movies, the end product they're looking for is the controversy itself. But this type of conversation attempts to go farther. Is it retrocausal in nature? It could be an experiment. Notnilc basically understands how this reality works, but I don't mean to imply they're perfect and they have exactly the right buttons and levers to do everything perfectly. They continue to experiment on the population and the collective conscious, no doubt about that. So this whole destruction of franchises, and let's just concentrate again on Star Wars, it could be a retrocausality experiment of some kind. And in having this type of conversation that we're having here, let me just be very clear and plain. They may literally, through retrocausality, and the past or the present and the future actually does affect the past, by making it horrible and destroying it here, they may be trying to gauge how it is having a retrocausal effect on the original and destroying the original. Maybe I don't know. I mean, it's hard to talk about this on the fly. I mean, maybe they it's like a Mandela effect. Maybe the ratings for the initial Star Trek in 1969 is actually the numbers changing and going down. Who knows? I'm just saying, don't take anything off the table. I didn't mean to imply that Notnilc has everything figured out. I think they generally understand in general how this reality works. It's the retrocausality issues, the fluid nature of it, but I don't think they have it exactly worked out. So, wait, what the hell? You're implying in some weird way that the complete destruction of the movie franchises, of which there's been 50, Doctor Who, all destroyed, all this under the guise of social justice warrior and woke and DEI, all that potentially could be a retrocausality experiment gauging how the destruction of the franchise in the present actually affects the original franchise in the past. Yes, it's possible. I'm not putting all my quarters on that chip. If it was a roulette wheel, no, I'm not. It's possible. The Notnilc needs to understand these principles or this retrocausality, how they can be more influential with their buttons and levers, and they want to affect the past. It's like Back to the Future. Remember, Marty kept fading out of the damn picture. Marty never was, in some scenarios, related to the orchid under the sea dance or whatever. He didn't exist, and he had to do the right thing. Maybe they're trying to make it so real spiritual beings or the truthers never existed. This is obviously, I'm joking, and that they need us. If somebody's crying out in the night, they need real spiritual beings like us. But this reality doesn't exist without us. We don't know the specifics on that, but we know in some way that it's correct. The reality, all is mind. The reality does not exist without at least the collective consciousness of real beings. So Notnilc, be very careful what you're doing. If you're taking this transcript back through your Ministry of Information in real time, you may cease to exist. If you mess with us, you exist because we exist. And although Tony says they are a spirit, the sequential is a spiritual entity. It's just not as advanced or as evolved, is not ready to take the same risks that we are. But the other parts of reality absolutely needs us. So, I know it's way out there. Again, I'm not going to place all my chips on that number if the roulette wheel is spinning, but it is possible. And the old guard's going, as usual, the old guard is probably going, no, I can see that. They might say, I'm not really agreeing with that, Matt, but it's possible. The old guard isn't fazed by this sort of conversation. It's not as crazy as if you just stumbled upon this video from Skokie. They could be potentially destroying all the franchise, all the movies, the Terminator series, everything, to see how it affects the past, as a gigantic retrocausality experiment. Think about it. It's not as crazy now as when I first floated it, and we're just minutes later after I first. Think about it. You and me, man, we're the same. We think the same. It's not that impossible. Don't ever underestimate this son of a bitch called Notnilc. Matt, where did this Skokie thing come up with? You say it in every other video. And can we continue a pretty intelligent conversation before it breaks down to nonsense? Can you just hold the nonsense back for just 5 or 10 more minutes? Yeah, after this short segment. I want to explain this Skokie thing. I don't think I ever have. I mean, what is risky business? I remember, was it back in '88 when I saw that in the movie theater? I haven't seen Risky Business for a long time, but when he's having the party and all the prostitutes are there, and then the guy knocks on the window or something, he's like, Joel, can Can you get us in? Got my cousin here, Ernie from Skokie. Can you get us in? And Joel's like, I think he's having the conversation or the interview or the admissions interview with the Princeton admissions officer. And he like, later, and he pulls the shade down. The guy's from Skokie, my cousin, he's got to be home by 10. He pulls the shade. He's got to be home by 10, but he wants to come in and there's a den full of prostitutes. I think that's where I know that's where the Skokie thing came from. I think they say Skokie in Risky Business. I'm almost positive. But that is, if my memory's correct, that's where it's coming from. So returning for a minute to the idea of quantum time or Notnilc time, what the Rolling Stones, what Mick Jagger sang in the early 60s, that time is on my, not one of my favorites, is time is on my side. Yes, it is. And somebody in the concert should have raised their hand in the audience. Why are you saying that? What do you mean time's on your side? It's the early... What do you mean by that, Mick? And he stopped the concert. He said, well, what I'm doing here, right? I'll be doing in 2024. And the audience left. 2024? About 60 years from now, you'll be doing the 60 years from now. Will that make you about 80? Oh, yeah, you're good in math. Time is on my side. Yes, it is. He says to the whole audience, and he slipped up. He should have never said it. I did a deal with Notnilc. I already have a condominium under a good part of the Dragon's Wing. But about the time that Mick was handed the lyrics, actually not written by the Rolling Stones, Time is on my side, written by some other devil, Mick turned and said, well, okay, I'm going to take this song. It's going to be a hit, but how can you be sure that time is on my side and I'll be doing this for how long? I'm going to be doing this through 2024? How can you see to that? Through an egregore, the person in black said. And Mick said, what's an egregore? Look to your left. And there was this, just in the corner, this hazy glowing thing, but there was no light on it. And it could be seen for a second and then not seen for a second. It says, this is a new egregore we created for you and Walking Death, Keith Richards. It's going to harness energy from your audience. And it's going to be very selfish, but it's going to share some with you. Thus, time is on your side. You'll be running around as if you had 2 knee replacements in 2024 at 80-something years old. Now get to know your new egregore. Is that completely out of the question? The old guard's like, Matt, that's pretty much how it happened. Were you there? We could probably create an entire story or full-length book out of all the themes of the Rolling Stones song. Please allow me to introduce myself. Oh, that's about the devil, Matt. Pootie Tang Award. Matt, don't let it break down so soon. It's about the devil, time, that one, and then this is Time is on our side, but I can't get no satisfaction, no, all the fame, all the glory, all the disgusting sex acts with and without David Bowie, he still can't get no satisfaction. It's like those myths about the person as an ocean to drink, but their thirst can never be quenched. I guess what I'm thinking of is people stranded at sea drinking the seawater. Can't get no satisfaction. Anybody out there want to spend a 10-year project to put all the themes of the Rolling Stones songs together to paint a picture about not just the weird life and times of Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, but of the sick reality itself? I wouldn't take it. We already know what we need to know. Who cares if there's a theme in every one of their weird-ass songs? So returning to the theme that is just fascinating to me over the last 5 years, that I know I talk about too much, why the movies and TV shows and the beloved franchises from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, why they're intentionally being destroyed and intentionally being made bad on purpose, and why the movie reviewers never, ever go there. They can't see it. They parrot the same things. Well, the point of all this is we have one more possibility as to why all of this is being intentionally destroyed, to line up and put next to all the other possibilities we've been discussing. But it's actually a gigantic retrocausality experiment of some kind. But as usual, it's probably 2 or 3 or 4 things. The Notnilc doesn't ever do anything in getting only one result. And initially we latched on to Star Wars a little bit too much, where I remember myself many times floating out that the reason they have to go back and ruin Star Wars is because the spiritual message, or what was in the original 3, was very uplifting, very good, very important messages, the hero's journey, etc. But if that was the case, then they would have taken all their efforts to destroy just Star Wars. It doesn't really fly anymore that that theory because they've destroyed everything. Everything that was once good or that was entertaining. And I don't think it's just to, in some way, ruin the old so the good messages don't come through. They've just done it in too many places. They've even done it to the Terminator franchise. The first two movies were great, but is there some great spiritual message and they had to go destroy it? No, they've destroyed too many things for that old theory of mine to hold up any longer. But as I think about it for a minute, again, the Notnilc never just aims for one result. There is incredibly uplifting, positive messages in the first 3 Star Wars. I mean, you could do almost a whole YouTube channel on it. It's the way somehow the Matrix Explained channel has literally, I don't know, like 500 videos breaking down the Matrix. And one would think there's no possible way the Matrix movies of 4 could produce that much content, meaning pondering what the Oracle was up to, pondering what this means. Somehow they keep making it interesting. I watch it still from time to time. And, if the Matrix can create 500 different videos of speculation as to how things work, then Star Wars probably could do it as well, at least for a few years. The positive messages. So the Notnilc never has one goal or aim. Of course, if we can do our retrocausality experiment, we can actually, maybe it's not an experiment. If somebody's crying out to me, Matt, they're executing a retrocausality, a destruction of some kind. I don't know. Is that, and they also mess with the original Star Wars for these reasons, even now, where they know no one's going to want these changes. The Greedo shoots first thing, or Han shot first. Now Greedo shoots first, and they change the word to McGlinky, or something. He yells out McGlinky, or something really. They change it to things that nobody wants, that everybody's going to be upset about. And once again, the controversy or the emotion that it elicits is the product, is what they're going for. They're not going for a quality production or an improvement of a scene. The controversy is the product. And, we could speculate what the Notnilc was up to in this regard all day long. It doesn't work on us. We don't take the bait. Pretty simple what we need to do. We don't give it the emotion it wants. We don't participate in its anger, its jealousy, its frustration. It's all the things that it wants to wring out of us. But overall, I mean, think of look at society. Just conceptually, look across society with the election coming up and the strikes it is incredible what the adversary here has been able to pull off. It is a worthy evil genius adversary. It is a worthy son of a bitch. And you know why it's most worthy? Because it has everybody around us believing that everything is happening, or everything that is happening is natural, is organic. Just the way a modern society is, Matt. I don't know what's wrong with you people. Everybody believes in it. How it's done that to people is the most genius aspect of anything it's ever done. Pulling all this off, just doing it, is hard enough. But getting people to, one, believe in it and mostly approve of it, that is incredible. That final piece. If they were in that meeting where the Baphomet's floating and Bill's poster and let him speak or whatever, some monkey raised their hand, and this is some entity in the form of a primate, said, how are we going to do all this? I think we can do it. But, I mean, my goodness, the people, what are the people going to say? And the floating Baphomet said, oh, the people, they're going to approve of all this. And the monks, what? They're going to love it. That's why the Aldous Huxley, that son of a bitch, the Brave New World scenario is more, in play than the 1984. They don't need no jackboots. They don't need no billy clubs. The people love it. They bend over like Kevin Bacon in the Omega House pledging, and they ask for more of it. For a minute, I was thinking of that video I did, I guess 4 years ago, the day no one voted. I used this really cheap Voxel voice program. I know they have all these AI tools now. I don't think I'll ever download one, but I don't never say never, right? I may have to for some of these skits that I want to do. This Voxel program was so horrible. It didn't load properly into my Mac. I mean, I don't think anything's ever loaded properly into this Mac, but it was funny. Like where people, the reporters down on the street and nobody going into the voting booths, all the polling places, it's like the day the earth stood still, the day that just coincidentally, right? Nobody went to vote. Well, the people are so gone. I mean, they'll line up to vote. It's just a fun scenario to think through. And the reporters down there interviewing people on the street. Why aren't you voting? And I'd like to do another one. If I can get that stupid ass, cheap ass Voxel program with its lame voices booted back up properly, I'd like to do another one of those videos. And let's float that out to the collective consciousness. The day nobody went to vote. And there's just a few people in the polling place, Kamala Harris herself, Donald Trump himself, and I don't know, one or two pickup trucks that are pro-Trump that have the shotgun racks on the back or so. But then you'd have the whole Nancy Pelosi district of San Francisco would be lining. I mean, obviously, it's fun to think through. But see, that's what's so sick about it. It goes the opposite way. It's not the day nobody voted and we had some sort of consciousness breakthrough. More people are probably going to vote in this election. There's more people on the ship of fools than there ever has been. Guys, just for fun, let's close with one quick headline. Remember I said how it's just impossible, how the news just gets stranger and stranger week to week. Maybe this won't qualify for some of you, but it does for me. LeBron James, the basketball player for the Lakers, of course, watched from the bench as his son, Bronny James, played his first NBA preseason for the LA Lakers. I believe LeBron James still plays for the Lakers. The image here, which I'm not going to show you because it's spaghetti scrimmages, has Bronny James bringing the ball up the court, playing for the Lakers. So is it possible? Wait, let me get this straight. Dad and son are going to play on the same team this coming up season. Did LeBron retire? I don't know, but I know he was playing very recently. I don't think he retired. How's that going to go? Dad, Bronny says, I was fucking open. All those children you have with all those baby mamas, I knew you liked me the least. Now it's showing up on the court. You don't pass me the ball. What the? And he's like, grow up, son. I treated you the same as all the other children from the baby mamas. Grow up. LeBron, get a word, please. This is Susan Lee Jones, KTLX 7 News and Sports. What's it like being the first father and son to play on the same NBA court together and for the same team? What's it? And LeBron's, I don't think we should get very excited about this. I think it'll really be something when we get 3 generations playing on the same team. 3 generations? Yeah. Bronny already has a bunch of little ones. They're already pretty good dribblers. They're only 1 and 2 and 4 years old, but they're a dribble. They can already make hoops. I plan to stick around so we can get three generations on this goddamn court. You're going to play ball for another 12. Well, yeah, they gave me the spell, the talcum powder. When I throw that up into the air to harvest energy from the crowd. What'd you think that was? Thanks for listening.